Don't get lost in believing that anything is possible. Believe in one thing so much that impossible doesn't even come close to it. Naturally, with great dreams comes great sacrifices. In order to complete this top-of-the-list trip in our very top-of-the-list vehicle, we quit our jobs, passionately pursued a career on YouTube, sold all our belongings, and changed our address to 1976 Sunday Drive. The Pan American Highway is a network of roads stretching across the Americas, measuring about 30,000 kilometers in total length, from Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, to the tip of Argentina in Ushuaia. Our story, however, begins on Vancouver Island, Canada. After repeatedly convincing everyone around us that we were actually leaving and it would be in this truck, the first drive gave us a taste of that proof pudding. This build took 100 days. 100, I don't know what I'm doing, but we will figure it out moments. But every single day of those 100, we woke up and chose to believe that our dream was possible. Not forgotten, however, were the hundreds of curse words, 100 missed meals, and at least 200 celebratory beers. But let's just stay focused on what's important. A last-minute dash to beat a snowstorm meant that Stacy packed everything she thought we would need for the next year, and I spent the last moments making an awning bracket, tightening bolts, and doing a wheel alignment. This was, of course, going to be our test drive after all.
We're sitting here on the ferry in the house that we just finished building.
A 3,000-kilometer test drive to Denver for more parts, not so surprisingly highlighted in the thickest highlighter found at the store, all of the things we either forgot, got wrong, or needed to fix ASAP. Thankfully, the internet connections and people that believed in us saved the day, and we were trading in our truck that used to drive like a boat in for the rig of our dreams. Getting it right the first time just doesn't have a nice ring to it, does it? It's funny though, no matter how many fixes we had to do to the truck in the USA, we never felt too far from home or uncomfortable. There was always an auto parts store or someone who could answer the phone in a familiar language. The parts were never too far away, and the answers came so easy. Our journey truly wasn't going to begin until we crossed that border into Mexico. So we stopped making excuses about our truck and pointed south.
It's been a long freaking time coming. It's been a long time coming.
Are you excited for Mexico?
No. I am stoked for Mexico.
The Mexicali border seemed quiet that day, but our nerves made it feel more crowded than a sold-out concert. This was it.
Yeah, we're driving the Chinook in Mexico.
Mexico comes with the intention of enjoying every last drop. Why is it that when you cross that invisible line, time takes the one-way flight back home? The warmth of the sun washes over you and slips a pink umbrella into your drink when you're not looking. The rigidity of our winter-conditioned skin softens, and it finally feels like everything we could ever need is right in front of us. We're pretty sure everyone's first time in Baja has a similar outcome. It's like you gain a new version of yourself, one that rises with the sun willingly to make sure you don't miss the ocean's morning breakfast run. The version that collects as much salt on their hair to season a month's worth of meals. A version so fascinated with the shapes of different cacti, you're willing to bet your life that this is the coolest place on earth. This version of yourself totally forgot about any responsibility back home and has replaced every other existing food group with tacos and a cerveza. For 2 months, we chased beaches that looked like postcards. We learned about the potential of our vehicle. We connected with others and followed them down dusty tracks. We weaved through mountains in search of respite from the heat and got lost in the colors. Baja welcomed us, held us, and barely let us go when we booked the TMC cargo ferry towards Mazatlan.
Well, babe, I'm pretty excited. I'm excited for Mexico. We are leaving Baja deeper than we've ever been into the unknown.
Yeah.
So we got tickets for dinner and breakfast because this goes overnight. It's about 4 p.m. right now.
It's about
Of all the
14
videos we
hours.
watched, I haven't seen anybody eat, so I'm pretty excited that we actually get fed, because that was a bonus. This is the cargo ferry.
14 hours later, little of which were sleep, we spotted land. And who needs coffee when there's this much excitement? We're still riding the high from Baja, so maybe that's why we chose Mexico's most dangerous road as our first task. Connecting Sinaloa and Durango, the Espinazo del Diablo, or Devil's Backbone, is a 330-kilometer, incredibly scenic road that comes with a bad reputation for maintenance and drug trafficking. Not exactly the place to become victims of car troubles.
We are actually pulled over on the side of the road here because something is wrong. Something is very wrong with Mr. Sunday the Chinook. Got like a hesitation under load. We'll be driving along and I'll be like, oh, it's like...
Thankfully, knowing firsthand how custom our build is, we always travel with spare parts. We also have a deeply intimate relationship with every nut, bolt, screw, weld, and part that makes up this vehicle. So that helps.
All right, let's find out if my fuel bath was worth it.
Oh, it's
Fuel pump is loud.
We're quickly back on the serpentine tarmac, bidding the sun farewell. It took us 3 days to complete the Highway 40. We kept a close eye on the state of the fuel pump, but kept an even closer eye on the cliff edge. Drone got a workout weaving through nature's pillars, and we drove further into the unknown. Our first few days on mainland Mexico tested us, the truck, and our willpower against taking every stray dog with us. Reaching Durango felt like our first checkpoint. Little did we know, the test would continue on our way to the jungle.
We just lost all power on the highway. So the connection on the fuel pump came loose. We're gonna start it up now and see if we got power.
not ideal.
Well, this is, I think, the 5th time in the last week that my truck has died up a hill. Almost 99% sure is happening because the fuel is getting too hot and it is vaporizing and causing a vapor loss. So what I'm gonna do is I bought some new fuel line, and I'm gonna move the fuel pump back here closer to the tank.
Now that we think we've solved our problem, emphasis on think, we're learning about the gifts of overland travel. When you have a destination in mind, but the in-between is completely unknown. Gratitude fills the cab for where we are and everything we've experienced so far. Our eastern trajectory should have come with a warning. Although looking ahead at the weather wouldn't have deterred us, it may have encouraged the purchase of a handful more fans to substitute our lack of air conditioning.
The bag. It's amazing. It's currently, it's 38 degrees Celsius right now, and
We're noticing.
it's hot.
This is actually the lowest we've been.
Yeah, probably, I don't know.
In a couple weeks.
100% humidity, I don't know. It's real. The ice cube is gone. The ice cube is just melted on it.
The Huastec region was known to the Aztecs for its fertile abundance, which to some may translate to rich and moist soil for crops. To us, it means an abundance of this.
Well, I figured it out. When people think of magical places, this is what they think of. This is it. This is the most magical thing I've ever seen. And I've never used the word magical this much in my life, but I can't think of a better word to describe what I'm seeing.
To be the only foreign travelers here is surprising, and we could probably stay forever. But alas, the natural crescendos and decrescendos of overland travel. We fall in love with beautiful places, only to say goodbye and leave for the next.
We've got one full day to explore Mexico City on foot. And the goal is to cram as much action-packed, chaotic awesomeness into one day. Ready to take on Mexico City?
The chaos and beauty of Mexico City is hard to describe, let alone capture on camera in one day. Over 21 million people call this home, which is hard to believe. That's over half the population of Canada in one city. When I say everything is happening all at once, I mean it. Continuing the theme of unexpected happenings, we're leaving the chaos of Mexico City behind in search of an active volcano. Unbeknownst to us, this volcano would put on more than just a brief show, and our choice of campsite would be right in the line of fire. No pun intended. One minute you're joining the tourists as they take pictures of the phenomenon. The next you're getting alerts of potential evacuation to your phone, and your truck is a different color from all the ash. We listened to the alerts and made our way down the mountain and drove until the air quality was breathable again.
And now we're waiting outside this awesomely colored garage to get some mezcal. It's in like this 40-liter jerry can, and he's just gonna get me a little taster. Our lives just get more and more interesting by the day.
Okay. I'll take the small one.
I don't think that was the small one, but just smell it. It smells incredible. Es fuerte. Oh, gracias, amiga.
A warm welcome to Oaxaca. Known for its vibrant culture, diverse cuisine, and natural beauty, this place will chew you up and spit you out in an agave field. Markets that go on for miles that make you wonder if you need 5 leather belts, a blanket, a live chicken, and a blender. We are far from home, and we can feel it.
First, please choose your best.
Our love affair with Mexico is something we are well aware of. What we're also hyper aware of is how far away Argentina is. It's time to put some pep in our step. Thankfully, the oppressive heat of the coast would force our hand. There aren't enough watering holes in the world to make up for our lack of air conditioning. But dare I say we tried. It was time to gain some altitude. The incredible contrast between temperature, flora, and fauna that Mexico's elevation reveals will make sure you never feel prepared. San Cristobal held us like the cool side of the pillow until it was time to flip it over again. We can see Guatemala on our map, but there's a jungle in between us and the border. So let's step inside the zoo brochure and experience life inside the sauna for a minute. This is the type of scenery that will make you forget about the heat. It's clear the world's perception of Mexico does not meet the reality. This wonderful place we easily fell in love with.
So an hour and a half out of Mexico and into Guatemala? That went really smooth.
We're getting better.
Heck yeah, that was awesome.
It's just so much easier when you have at least one border under your belt because you know it's not scary.
With Mexico in our very dusty rear view, we prepare to fall in love with another country.
Literally like I just jumped in a lake.
Everything in Guatemala feels vibrantly alive. Our route was chosen as to avoid the Yucatan in Mexico due to extremely high temperatures. We would arrive at Lake Petanitza and let history wash over us at the famous ruins of Tikal. This place was the beating heart of the Mayan Empire. We leave with the feeling of wanting to know more, but are content with the mystery.
Wild crocodile. Campsite. Stacy is getting the truck ready for our next border crossing. Actually, don't worry. There's still lots more to see in Guatemala, and we are coming back. Well, I've got a map, so we're going to show you what's going on. So this is Guatemala. It's actually the largest of the Central American countries. We entered Guatemala up here. So we're in kind of this northern state. Travel down here, and this is the Isle of Flores that you just saw. And look at our proximity to Belize right now.
With only 6 days and an overlander's budget, we would experience Belize as it rolls out in front of us. We caked our tires in red clay and stumbled upon some impressive natural wonders.
Day 2 in Belize, we crushed out a very long day of driving, four-wheeling, adventuring, sightseeing, and now we're enjoying this epic free camp on the river. It's so glorious. We can't believe we're the only ones here.
From the little research we did, our plan was to have lunch in the seaside town of Hopkins and then retreat inland to find camp away from the humidity. As history would show, plans like this, or even plans in general on the road, should always be written in pencil.
So we met Egan and his mom when we were driving through Hopkins. His friend had shown him our YouTube channel only days before, and then he saw us driving through his hometown in Belize. Yeah, they just opened up their world to us, and we couldn't be more grateful for that.
Yeah.
We got to stay in their little cabana with this incredible view.
Yeah, we feel very lucky.
Very blessed.
After a much needed sleep in the air conditioning, our first of the trip, we enjoyed a day of beach hopping until the time had come to yet again escape to the jungle. Foliage fit for the belly of dinosaurs, and a permanent soundtrack that will ring through your ears forever. Belize's biodiversity emanates through this wall of green. Hopefully, if we return one day, we'll get that jaguar spotting. From where we crossed back into Guatemala from Belize, we needed to travel around 650 kilometers south to meet a subscriber of ours, Juan Carlos, and his family on the Rio Dulce. We would learn almost immediately that saying yes to this perfect stranger would impact our entire experience in this country. Seeking discomfort has never been this fruitful. Juan's passion for his country shines through, and all of a sudden we have a full itinerary of places we haven't even heard of. We happily draw a massive X through our original plans and take to the back roads. What came with traveling in less touristy areas was the shock and awe when our truck would roll through small villages. We're pretty sure these kids have never seen travelers before. Central America in the summer months indeed brings many challenges. Heat, crazy bugs, and relentless rain are only a few. Roads wash away, and there are fewer travelers to meet. Yet, if you're willing to embrace the discomfort, the beauty the rain brings is unmatched.
After 2 steps, I lost my balance. And you know, that's when the colors.
As if we weren't already in love with this country, our tour continued. From an intimate behind-the-scenes look of Juan's farms that led us to the largest mangrove reserve in Central America, to the land of volcanoes that tower over Lake Atitlan. From maintenance with new lifelong friends, to testing said maintenance with some of the coolest Toyotas to ever exist along the edge of an active volcano. Saying yes never looked so good. Guatemala, we'll be back. The smallest country in Central America. But don't be fooled, El Salvador is a travel powerhouse in a tiny package. We have booked our container to ship across the Darien Gap from Panama to Colombia, so our time here will be brief, but worthy. Not lasting long in the heat dome of the coast, we would wave goodbye to the surfers and fall in love with life above 2,500 meters. We We can tell that the locals are excited to see travelers as tourism rises, but we're not sure they were ready for this.
Well, trying to find camp. Well, not really trying to find. While moving, we found camp, and then Matthew wanted to move.
I had no comment.
And didn't. Stacy wanted to take the road, and I wanted to drive on the beach, and yeah, now we're stuck.
We're in a volcano, it's not a beach.
We're not super stuck yet. We just started to spin and the truck stopped. So I stopped, and now we're airing down, hoping to get right there. So we're gonna air down the tires to like 10 PSI, and then if that doesn't work, we'll bust out the Max Trax. At this point, I think it's about as worse as it gets.
Regardless, the El Salvadorians are uncommonly kind. There was no way they were going to give up, and we are grateful for that. With only a few days in Honduras, we chose not to film and spent some intentional time off camera with new friends. What we will say though is that the border crossings sure aren't easy in these middle countries, so enjoy the good ones while they last. Next was Nicaragua, a country that doesn't allow the use of drones. So after shipping our drone from Honduras to Costa Rica, we took to the very well-maintained highway of Nicaragua and indulged in its beauty for 5 days.
Gorgeous.
The island of Ometepe felt like a vacation.
Yeah, right there. What's the key to a successful border crossing, everyone? Don't go hungry.
Oh man. Matthew doesn't like stopping at normal stops, so it's always on the side of the road.
Costa Rica, the land of Pura Vida. Taking what we learned from our experience in Guatemala, we're following our new friends Zeka and Daniel on a local-inspired adventure. They are the experts after all. And what an unbeatable place to enjoy my first birthday on the road. Having no military since 1949, paired with beaches resorts can't wait to situate themselves near, Costa Rica is a hotspot for tourism compared to its neighbors. It can be as simple as someone responding to your question in English to show how different these countries in Central America can be from one another. And we would learn quickly that the adventurous spirit can take flight here, and the challenges of the rainy season would only make this video game simulation one level harder.
So we were talking to Zeka, and it's important to be croc conscious here. There's a lot of crocodiles in this area. It looks like the exit is straight across there.
Para pasar esa línea de ese árbol.
Oh, great. Sí, perfecto. Oh man, that was epic.
Thanks, little samurai.
Popular for good reason.
Right, wow, off to Overland Embassy. It's crazy. I messaged them like 3 years ago saying like how much is shipping, blah, 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 when we were first planning this trip before COVID. So like, wow, it's crazy to actually be finally going there.
Yeah.
Time has slowly lost its identity. We've stopped counting how many kilometers we are from home. Our Spanish has rapidly improved out of necessity, and we can't believe we're about to stuff our home on wheels into a container. The Pan America Highway is the longest drivable line on the map, but there's a catch. Between Panama and Colombia, there is no road. So the line is, I guess, incomplete. Thanks to Overland Embassy, we'll be crossing the Darien at sea. 2 weeks later, we met our faithful steed in Cartagena. Although we loved the culturally vibrant old town and ate way more street food than ever before, we were ecstatic to be united again. Without the comfort of our air-conditioned hostel, we made the extremely long push to higher ground. It was in this moment we got a glimpse of how large this country truly is. We seriously have to pinch ourselves. We're here. We're in South America. The truck that we built is driving us through the streets of Colombia. All of a sudden, it doesn't feel so strange that people are offering us food at speed bumps. It's now normal to not see a traffic light for days. The chaos that once left us on edge now excites us. And what better way to continue this excitement than this?
Look at this road. It's nuts.
It is not.
Choosing once again to avoid major highways, we would experience Colombia's pretzel-like mountain roads. A distance that would normally take us half the time to drive forces us to be patient as we watch the squiggly line on our map fold over itself again and again before reaching our destination. Who knew a glacier would be so hard to get to?
Apparently, you have to get a guide first to register to get a park pass.
Yeah.
This information was not present in any of the information that we read.
So that was intense. That's a lot of effort. But we're stocked.
Yep, we got coca leaves, we got a
We got our
guide,
guide.
we got our registration. We have lots of knowledge.
Yeah. We're heading into the mountain.
Situated above 4,000 meters, this would be our first test at altitude, but definitely not our last. The dance with the Andes mountain range never really ends in South America, if you're lucky. Up and down again. The roller coaster ride over the Andes has confused the outermost layer of our skin. The goosebumps at high altitudes don't have time to tuck themselves back in before they're covered in sweat again. Colombia's landscape changes faster than you can put a sweater on, or take it off. A quick Google search will tell you that Colombia is the country with the second highest biodiversity of flora and fauna on the planet. And I tell you, when you're here, you'll have no doubt about that. And just as quick as we said hello, we waved goodbye to a country we barely scratched the surface on. Once again, that invisible line on the map would separate two different worlds. Don't be fooled by their extremely similar national flags. Country number 12. Ecuador is noticeably more open to tourism. It feels like a bit of a break having so many options for camping and well-maintained roads.
Oh wait.
You're in the south. How's the south?
We should film a conversation that we're having. How's the north?
Another checkpoint complete. Reaching the equator feels monumental. 0 degrees latitude with around 50 degrees left to go. But that's not all this country is known for. It's home to the closest point to the sun. Joining forces with our friend Max, we would try and drive up it. The feeling of elation is permanently stamped on us. Whether we're driving up active volcanoes, learning about a culture so different than ours, or lusting over nature's display, Ecuador will leave a mark, or at least encourage you to wear a poncho. It was in northern Peru where we finally spent more than a few kilometers on the Pan-American Highway. And although we enjoyed how wildly different the landscape of the coast was, we knew it would only be a matter of time before the flirtation game with the Andes continued.
Fully loaded ceviches for $8.
Taste. And also, this is the best thing I've ever tried.
It's delicious.
It's hot.
Quinoa
Hot
soup juice.
Quinoa soup juice that tastes like fruit.
It's got the texture of like gelatin too.
The Latin American snake-like story of roads will always leave you wanting one more chapter. We are chasing a specific canyon road we've seen in photos. But instead of taking the highway there, we would get our first real taste of switchback heaven. Landslides here on the 3N are counted daily, not annually. This would be the most dangerous drive we've ever attempted. It's funny though, when the crossing guards are alpacas and women in traditional dress dot the fields milking cows, all of a sudden it's not so scary. Life is abundant up here, regardless of the state of the road. The Cañón del Pato demands respect, a road that simply shouldn't exist, but does.
We got a peek of the White Mountains this morning, and now we're just...
At over 7,000 kilometers in total, the Andes Mountains are the world's longest continental mountain range, stretching across 7 countries. And because they are a collection of numerous mountain chains, it feels like there's a range for each different type of adventurous soul. Whether you like your mountains sitting with a bowl of Kool-Aid in front of them, or layered in different minerals, or whether you want your mountains steep and hard to get to, or covered in a white cap all year round, whether you like your mountains volcanic or just a rolling hill, it doesn't matter your taste. We're pretty sure you'll find one for yourself here in Peru. It's only proper that after a lengthy retreat with giants, you chase the opposite. The desert would remind us of solitude and how to ration water. It would bottle up the word freedom and make sure to throw some bones in it as well.
I don't know, maybe like a...
Peru would also change our route. Well, not really. Our new friends David and Ju would give us an offer we couldn't dream of passing up. Instead of heading south to Bolivia from Cusco, we would now travel east towards Brazil.
What an amazing country.
Here was the pitch. Drive 3,000 kilometers through Brazil along the lower half of the Amazon basin. Enter the Pantanal National Park via a small town called Poconé.
3,000 kilometers later.
And what does it mean, David, to be in Poconé?
Oh. I think it means the start of a big adventure.
From Poconé, the pavement gives way to a long straight animal corridor called the Transpantanera. This wetland connects Poconé and the very small riverside town of Porto Jofre. And although we were already agreeing to the pitch at the idea of seeing all the animals, that was only half of the idea.
It's It's official.
Once in Puerto Joffre, we would then place our vehicles on a cattle barge and float them 400 kilometers down the Paraguay River to Corumba.
No way.
No way.
Yep, an adventure fit for Indiana Jones.
Caught a piranha? Get a big soup tonight. Yeah, your first fish is a piranha.
And then, in an attempt to steal this ultimate high away from us, Bolivia would deny our entry due to modifications to our vehicle.
We went to the Bolivia border today from Brazil. And long story short, they denied us entry.
Thankfully, this high was way too great to be diminished. So we changed our plan yet again and welcomed probably one of the least visited countries in South America, Paraguay.
Smells so good. You guys should come to Paraguay. Most people don't. And we didn't plan on it, but I'm so glad we did. Met the nicest people that were so generous to us. Stayed in like amazing 4-star hotels for next to nothing. It's so economical here, like so inexpensive, and the food is great. Yeah, it would be easy to stay longer for sure. But we actually only got 10 days on our passports at the border. So we got across. Easily our most exhausting border crossing experience to date. But we made it to Argentina, we got to camp, and found peace for a time.
A very short time. What we imagined in our heads while arriving in Argentina were bottles of champagne and pure elation. What we didn't see were the hours spent at the mechanics or the days waiting for parts.
Savior. Most interesting thing is that neither our engine nor our transmission exist anywhere in Argentina. It's actually the only country in South America that doesn't have the 5VZ.
We got creative, but would have to wait until Chile for the other half of our parts. I mean, the truck did its job. It drove us to Argentina. We just had to remind it to keep going a little farther. And the best way to cure the blues? A healthy dose of some vino with new friends. Now, it was time to do the Puna route. A 600-kilometer off-road route along the Altiplano of northern Argentina. This would take the first place spot of our favorite route of the trip. Why? Because it defined every edge of the word adventure. A snap of a finger would change the landscape entirely. We wouldn't see another vehicle for days, and the world around us seemed to go on forever. An extremely hard place to leave, but we had to get to Chile to get those parts. Could this border crossing get any cooler? Sure, you could go through the tunnel they built, but this is hard to pass up. And look at the reward. Chile, you've made an unreal first impression.
Mauricio is the man!
The excitement from getting our spark plug cables wouldn't last long as we ventured south.
About to replace fuel pump number 5. The in-tank pump is kaput.
Our traumatizing fuel pump issue from Mexico would resurface, and this time, Sunday would finally give up the ghost. The fuel pumps that we've been replacing again and again have been too low of a PSI. With the correct in-tank fuel pump, we would finally cure our plague. Now confident in our truck, we crossed back into Argentina and welcomed Patagonia. This place feels like the payment for all of our efforts. Our journey led us here. We've failed along the way, and we've triumphed. We've learned more lessons than we care to admit, and we've grown together. We chased the sun and equally ran away from it. We greeted a new night sky and watched the seasons change. Oh, and speaking of seasons, it would seem as though battling the rainy season has landed us in Patagonia at the beginning of fall. I wish we could say we perfectly planned this, but we didn't. And that's the best part. The zigzag continues as we cross yet again back into Chile. We would drive the Carretera Austral, known to many as the most scenic highway in the world, and we would find out why. Fiery colors all trying to talk over one another. Mountains so tall you have to open your window to see the tops. Layers of life fold over each other to create a perfect portrait. This place is raw beauty.
Paso Robalos. Back into Argentina. Wow, I'm absolutely baffled at how incredible the Austral was. Like, I knew it was gonna be cool, but man, it just blew all of my expectations out of the water. Just insane. Look at that freaking mountain right there. Like,
That's just a little taste
wow. All right,
of what's next.
time for some of the most famous views.
For 5 amazing years, Stacy and I have tackled our hopes and our dreams together. And there's been something I've wanted ever since our first date, but it's taken to this moment to make it happen. When everything feels perfectly aligned, I knew it would happen right in front of this mountain. It's exactly how I pictured it. The weightless feeling I did not expect.
Fitzroy. About to take the photo of my freaking dreams and ask Stacy to marry me. But she doesn't know that yet. Look at that. That's perfect. That moon is perfect.
That is perfect.
That truck is perfect. That mountain is perfect.
Dude, you brought us. I can't stop crying.
That friggin' truck that we built in 100 days just drove us to Mount Fitzroy in Argentina from Canada. That couldn't be more epic.
Honestly, the trip could end here. This is literally all we've ever wanted. And I don't know how it gets better from here. Somehow, though, it does.
It's -4 inside the truck right now. A really, really cold night. Just look how much frost is on the ground. But the view I'm about to show you is nuts.
Travel does not affect each person lucky enough to do so. Travel merely increases your chance of something or someone coming along to change your perspective. Whether you're willing to listen is up to you. We made this movie to show you that your big dreams are possible. We're just dreamers that became doers too.